Welcome to everyone on this virtual seminar on the marketing of Digital Octopus. Without over to you.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much for attending the session. We are highly excited to have with us the management of Octopus Digital and Avencion. We have with us Bakhtiar Bain, Chairman of Octopus and CEO and founder Avencion, and we have with us Asmar Atif, CEO of Octopus Digital. Octopus Digital, as you may all know, will be doing its IPO. The book building dates are September 9th and 10th. We are very excited to bring this company to the PSX, and it will be the first tech IPO in 7 years on the PSX. With that, I will hand over the mic to Asmar, who will walk us through the company's information memorandum for investors of this IPO, and then we will follow up with a Q&A. With regard to the format of the Q&A, we request all participants to post their questions on the chat box, and then we will ask those questions from the management. And we can take this session for more than an hour, and we would like to address all your queries and questions. Also, if you have any further questions, we at BMA are more than happy to accommodate any queries or questions that you may have after this session. So, Asmar, over to you.
My name is Asmar Atif, and as Saad pointed out, that the format. Perfect. Thank you, Adil. So the format is that you can ask questions. You can raise hand, ask questions. We'd be very happy to take all the questions, but definitely in the end, and you can type all the questions, and then my colleagues Saad and Faizan are going to administer that. Kamran Ahmed is saying, Urdu, please. I would love to. What I'll do is I'll definitely make it a little bilingual. Naturally Urdu भी आ जाएगी. बिल्कुल definitely जी. Malik जी Urdu में बिल्कुल. I'll try and make sure, because we have some international investors who have joined us also. So it's a little, but I'll try and make sure that some of the pointers that we have. जी बिल्कुल. We'll definitely do that in Urdu as well. So let me just share my screen. I hope everyone can see the screen. So this is actually an information memorandum that is already public, and I'll be going through. So these are 40 slides. So what I'll try and make sure is कि अगले कोई आधे से पौने घंटे के अंदर we can just cover the slides, and then we can open the house for questions. So we have 5 different topics to cover today. एक तो हमारी executive summary है. Then we have a story of Avencion that we want to highlight very little, that how our past is connected with our present and the future. And of course, then where does the opportunity lie in Octopus along with aftermarket support? Now, the recurring revenue that we have built and we plan to further build and enhance. And of course, then an invitation to the investors to get in early. Based on what we have done in the past, we want to project that the future is going to be much more brighter than our past has been. So Saad has already pointed out the fact that we are the first tech IPO in 7 years, but something which is probably not mentioned on the slide. Rest of the numbers are self-explanatory, so I'll go slow a little bit that you can go through the numbers. But something that I'd like to very quickly highlight here is the industry context and business context in which Octopus Digital and Avencion operate. So because ये बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम business background को explain करें कि Octopus किस business में है और Avencion किस business में है. So Avencion, traditionally for the last 30 years, it has been a projects company. हम projects करते रहे हैं. हमने अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हर किस्म के क्लाइंट के साथ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और प्रोसेस इंडस्ट्री में बड़े से बड़े मीडियम साइज हमने प्रोजेक्ट्स किए हैं. वी हैव डन ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट्स, बिग हेयरी ऑडिशियस फैंटास्टिक प्रोजेक्ट्स, और हम करते रहेंगे प्रोजेक्ट्स. बट इन प्रोजेक्ट्स what we do is we sell hardware, software and people. So that's the together as a turnkey project. That's what we deliver. ये तो Avencion का business है जो कि अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह सक्सेसफुल रहा है और ऐसे ही चलता रहेगा आगे इंशाल्लाह। Then we have another business that we established in 2013. जब हमने 2013 में IPO किया था तो हमने आफ्टर मार्केट सपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट एस्टैब्लिश किया which provides preventive and corrective maintenance support. यानी जो हार्डवेयर और सॉफ्टवेयर अवेंसियन सेल करती है एज प्रोजेक्ट, उसकी जो पोस्ट सेल मेंटेनेंस सपोर्ट है वो हम बहुत इंटरनेशनली मेथोडिकल तरीके से करते हैं, वो हमारे आफ्टर मार्केट सपोर्ट के लोग करते हैं और वो एक दूसरा बिजनेस है जो कि हमने एस्टैब्लिश किया 2013। अब नाउ दिस होल बिजनेस ऑफ अवेंसियन एंड आफ्टर मार्केट सपोर्ट, ये जिस इंडस्ट्री में ऑपरेट करता है, दैट्स व्हाट आई वांट टू हाईलाइट। सो आवर इंडस्ट्री कॉन्टेक्स्ट इज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड प्रोसेस इंडस्ट्री। ये हमारे क्लाइंट्स हैं जो कोई चीज मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं, जैसे ऑयल एंड गैस है, पावर प्लांट है, पेट्रोकेमिकल एंड ऑल, तकरीबन सारे जो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री है वो हमारी क्लाइंट है। और द डेटा दैट वी डील विद इन दैट स्पेस इज एक्चुअली द ओटी डेटा। वो रियल टाइम डेटा होता है जिसको हम ऑपरेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी डेटा बोलते हैं, ओटी डेटा बोलते हैं। ये इसलिए इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि हम आईटी से डील नहीं करते। आईटी में आप लोगों ने सुना होगा जरूर, पिछले 8-10 साल में बहुत एडवांसमेंट हुई है, आईटी बहुत एडवांस है ओटी से, यानी इंश्योर टेक, लीगल टेक, फिनटेक, रिटेल टेक, एड टेक, खुदा जाने कितने टेक जो है वो आ रहे हैं, ई कॉमर्स, ये सारा कुछ आईटी की स्पेस में क्लाउड पे हो रहा है जिसमें ट्रांजैक्शनल डेटा से डील करते हैं। जो बिगेस्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी हम टैप करने जा रहे हैं ऑक्टोपस में, एंड आई विल से दैट इन बोथ लैंग्वेजेस, जो बिगेस्ट अपॉर्चुनिटी हम टैप करने जा रहे हैं ऑक्टोपस डिजिटल में, वो ये मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री के ओटी डेटा से रिलेटेड है, जो रियल टाइम डेटा होता है। यानी फैक्ट्री के अंदर जो मशीनें हैं, एसेट्स और इक्विपमेंट हैं, वो हर सेकंड हजारों डेटा पॉइंट्स रिलीज कर रहे होते हैं। उस डेटा को क्लाउड पे लेके जाना और उससे मशीन लर्निंग और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस करना, ये हमारा बिजनेस होगा ऑक्टोपस में, जो अब से पहले कभी नहीं हुआ। This is the untapped opportunity that we are going to tap in Octopus Digital, that we are going to take the OT data onto cloud and create big data. बिग डेटा का नाम आपने सुना होगा दूसरी आईटी स्पेस में, लेकिन ओटी में हम पहली दुनिया की कंपनी है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह जिसने रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट करके इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी ऐसी डेवलप की है, ओमनी कनेक्ट, जो कि ओटी डेटा की बिग डेटा क्लाउड पे क्रिएट करेगा और उससे फिर मशीन लर्निंग करेगा। सो दैट्स द स्पेस in which we will be operating for the first time. And that is something which is worth mentioning here, our business and our context and background. Acha ji, the question in front of us was that where to start? Which country should we go in and invest? So what is the logical answer to that? That obviously is our home market, Pakistan, because whatever we are today as Avencian is because of Pakistan. Because we have been in this market for the last 30 years, customers trust us, we have developed a whole culture and legacy in the country. हमारे पास 1500 प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं पाकिस्तान एंड मिडिल ईस्ट में। पिछले 15 साल से हम मिडिल ईस्ट में भी हैं। there are about 200 plus customers globally जिनको हम सर्व करते हैं। 15 से 18 डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्री वर्टिकल्स हैं जिनको हम सर्व करते हैं। डिफरेंट इंडस्ट्रीज हैं, डिफरेंट टाइप्स की इंडस्ट्रीज हैं जिनको हम सर्व करते हैं। अब हमारे पास ये सवाल था कि व्हाट शुड बी आवर गो टू मार्केट स्ट्रेटजी। सो आवर गो टू मार्केट,
can I stop you for a second? I'm sorry. It would be better if you deliver your presentation in English because we have a few foreign clients in the call as well. So I think they'll have problem understanding what you're saying if you're using a lot more Urdu as compared to English.
Oh, I get it. Thank you very much, Faizan, for correcting me because I couldn't see the list and all that. So
may I suggest that if there are any questions which are in Urdu, we will answer in Urdu. But the presentation, if we continue in English, anybody who wants to engage in questions, they can mark that please respond in Urdu, because that would address their questions, and that is the objective if we are bilingual. So continue in English, but whenever somebody raises a question, they could just ask for us to respond in Urdu.
Thank you very much. So I'll just repeat a few things. So the business that we are in, we are going to be creating big data lake for the OT telemetry data space for manufacturing and process industry. This is the opportunity that has still been untapped globally, because the problem with this industry is manufacturing and process. It has been traditionally lagging behind IT roughly 10 years. So our business has been, because we as Avancion have been in this business, we understand the industry, we understand the context, we understand the assets, equipments, and machines that exist in this industry, and we also understand the kind of data that these hardware and software in these manufacturing industries emit on real-time basis, and how to take the intelligence out of the data for different job roles within a manufacturing. Hence, we saw this opportunity 2.5 years ago that no one in the world is creating big data lake for the OT telemetry data for manufacturing. There are lots of big companies like original equipment manufacturers and other system integrators. The problem with the original equipment manufacturers is that they have to sell their proprietary hardware and software of multi-million-dollar whatever. The problem with systems integrator is that their business model is that they have to sell the same hardware and software and do a project. The inherent difference in digital transformation space for Industry 4.0, for manufacturing and process industry, is that it is anything and everything different from the proprietary databases and hardware and software. It is something which is totally cloud native, where no hardware, no proprietary software, no proprietary database is involved. It is big data, data lake on Azure cloud native environment. And that's the opportunity that we are tapping as Octopus Digital. And what is the better way to start than our home country? Because we are starting it from Pakistan and also at the same time from the Middle East, because we have a history. We have done about 1,500 plus projects in the last 25 years with wide range of customers. And our go-to-market strategy number one, and I call it, by the way, a kindergarten step, because we will not stop there. But the lowest hanging fruit that we have is, in terms of our go-to-market strategy, the best conduit that we have is our existing global customer base, because we have massive presence, not just in Pakistan. In Pakistan, we are the market leaders in manufacturing and process, but also in Dubai, Doha, Dammam, Lagos, and Cairo. So those 6 geographies that we have got our established customer base, where we are going to go and sell the digital piece and the maintenance piece that I'm going to explain a little later. So a little bit about the Avancion story. This is one of my favorite slides, because not because it shows good numbers only. The slide actually reflects, and it's a testament of the trust that our shareholders, our customers, and our employees have reposed on us, especially in the last 7 to 8 years. We as Avancion, as a corporate, we went public in 2013. And since then, the cumulative investor return, the juice that the business has generated overall, has been more than 2,000% plus. So of course, that's when you adjust the dividend and bonus back into the business. But this is the juice that the business has generated. So if someone had invested $1 back in 2013, early 2014, would have gotten this much of cumulative investor return in Avancion. And what we plan to do in Octopus is something much more, because now the industry tide is on our way, which is the Industry 4.0 revolution that we want to tap within our OT telemetry data space that I just discussed about. We take massive pride in stating the fact that we are one of the cleanest companies in the region. We believe in end-to-end documentation of everything that we do internally, within internal stakeholders and with our customers, let alone financials, that all our financials are always duly audited and thoroughly documented, of course. And now what we plan to do with Octopus is to take all that data onto cloud. The numbers are self-explanatory. We are the market leaders in Pakistan. And thankfully, we have the presence that we have in Pakistan is very unique. We not just act as a systems integrator, but we also act as main automation contractor. And sometimes customers hire us even for developing feed studies for them, as a consultant also for conceptualizing and designing the whole automation project. So what we are going to do is we're going to go back to the same customers with our Octopus Digital offering and create value for them in the same way, like we created value for them through projects and through aftermarket support service that we have been providing. So just a list of some customers that we work with. The idea is that because we have an established global customer base, which gives us consistent business in terms of not just projects for Avancion, but also we have got running maintenance contracts, the guaranteed service level agreement, the recurring revenue business that we have built in the last 7 to 8 years. That has been a crown jewel on top of Avancion. And I'll come to that also, that how aftermarket support provides us such a great bench strength and provides us that critical mass, that launch pad through which Octopus digital rocket can be launched. So I'll explain that a little bit later. But again, wide range of industry sectors that we have had presence in. Our global footprint is in Pakistan, Middle East, and our affiliate office on the East Coast in the US. And of course, our partners in West Africa also. I'd like to take a minute on this slide and link this slide with another one, which is that when we did Avancion IPO in 2013, we made 2 promises to the shareholders, to the equity markets. And those 2 promises, we didn't make a lot of promises, only 2 promises. And those promises were very clear and smart and very crisp. The first promise was that we want to hedge our business cyclicality risk. Because being an engineering systems integrator, our business is cyclical. Sometimes we have a lot of projects, sometimes we have less number of projects. So we thought that we should invest in the international market, especially in the Middle East, and increase the international component of our revenue. And our overall revenue composition should have larger and larger international business. And over the last 6 to 7 years specifically, we have been able to achieve that. Again, thanks to our customers and most importantly, our employees. This was one objective that we met post 2013 IPO. The second objective that we set was even more critical and strategic. And that was to develop a recurring revenue business. Again, not just to hedge our business cyclicality risk, that would also feed into that, but also developing such a recurring revenue business that meets at least 50% of our corporate fixed cost. And the idea was not just to develop recurring revenue to meet fixed cost, but also to develop a whole predictable and defendable revenue in such a way that should complement our project business. Because very simply speaking, if we provide better after-sales service, our customers will be happy. It's like a very basic elementary rule of thumb, and they will give us more and more projects, and we can create value for them, and of course, cross-sell and upsell on top of that. So this is what we started establishing in 2013 when we did the IPO. And we have been able to achieve that. The cost that you see here is the entire corporate cost, but if you see only Pakistan cost, which is half of it, half of 817 million, so aftermarket supports net income almost meets 75% of our fixed cost. So we, as a corporate, are in a very comfortable position, being an engineering systems integrator as Avancion, having a recurring revenue business. And strategically, the reason of developing that recurring revenue business is that it just doesn't create perpetual value for our customers, but also for investors internationally, where we have spoken and met many in different financial hubs globally. The appetite for recurring revenue in our kind of business, which is again, the manufacturing and process industry, OT data space, the kind of multiples that it attracts, it is gold. So the recurring revenue, which is both predictable and defendable, is gold mine in our kind of business. And that's what we have been able to successfully establish in the last 7 to 8 years. Now, the genesis or the next step in our organizational journey, it has always been like that. So I'll just explain that a little bit, which is that anything and everything that we implement and then we learn in Pakistan, we use Pakistan as a market where we do stuff based on international standards, maintaining the highest level of quality and integrity, develop our learning and experience curve, perfect the model, and then take it international. Same thing we did when we started doing projects back in 1995, until 2005. We perfected the projects model in Pakistan, then we took it international into the Middle East. And then there was no stopping and looking back. Similarly, now since 2013, when we have perfected this aftermarket support business, this maintenance business, the numbers that you see, the phenomenal numbers that you see on the screen, with the kind of CAGRs that are phenomenal, thankfully, to our customers and employees. This is the model that we have now perfected in Pakistan, and with the IPO, we want to take it international to the Middle East. And not just we're going to do this on same Avencion customers and projects, but this aftermarket support is Avencion agnostic. It has achieved its critical mass, and it has become such an organization where the people in aftermarket support, the expertise that they have, the experience that they have gained over a period of time. A recent example is in Dubai Metro, where we have signed an agreement for 10 years with them on not just the hardware and software that we provided as Avencion 10 years back, on the entire set of hardware and software in Dubai Metro on the BMS system. So the opportunity for aftermarket support is huge in the Middle East, where we're going to take it forward. Since I've mentioned aftermarket support quite a bit, so I'm moving a little bit in the reverse direction in slides. So what does aftermarket support do? I'll just explain very quickly. So we sign service agreements with our customers, of course, on the automation and control system hardware and software, how to manage that. We do preventive corrective maintenance. We do site improvements. We provide emergency support, of course, and train our customers on different technologies. And something that we plan to do post IPO that we have already done proof of concept are two things: that we're going to totally digitalize the aftermarket support experience, which we have already done for one of our multinational customers, that we have created a whole dashboard, digital dashboard for them that I'll show you a little later, and enabling the whole remote support based on AR and VR, the augmented reality and virtual reality based digital twin thing that we have developed for them. I'll show you a little later, but that's encapsulated in aftermarket support service. This is a set of organic growth that we have achieved over the period of time in Pakistan, and this is about 90% of the total addressable market in Pakistan that we could cover. So we have been able to but we are increasing the size of our addressable market inside Pakistan also, and targeting other industries like textile and pharmaceutical within Pakistan. But this is only, and the biggest KPI there in our kind of business for aftermarket support for recurring revenue is 100% customer retention. You can see something happened in 2016-17, and I remember that because a couple of customers signed the service contract because some companies came in who were signing cheaper, so they said Avencion is better, but they ended up actually paying double. So, and they renewed the contract. So today, we have 100% customer retention when it comes to aftermarket support's guaranteed service agreements. Now, this model through which we have perfected this insurance of customer retention, we want to take it to the Middle East now. And by the way, you can see Dubai Metro here, you can see Schneider Electric, you can see Lusail Development. So we have got quite a few maintenance contracts already in the Middle East. But now that is not even 5% of our, so the whole market, the whole opportunity in the Middle East for aftermarket is still untapped. That we want to tap in the next 5 years. That is there in our financial model also. This is what I was discussing a little bit earlier, that we are going to be digitalizing. So there's going to be every interaction between our aftermarket support teams in Octopus and the customer. Nothing is going to be exchanged on paper, Excel, or email. It's going to be all cloud. It's going to be all digital. It's going to be all through digital dashboards. So one of our customers, multinational, it's a fuel retail company. They've got 500 petrol stations all around the country. And we have got this is how the chain worked, that Avencion 2 years ago sold a project to them. And it was a tank gauging project that on every petrol station at a customer, Shell, I can name the customer. It's a public domain information. So we sold a project where we could do the tank gauging of fuel at every petrol station. And then aftermarket support people went in and they signed a service contract with Shell, we can manage all your 500 petrol stations inside the country. And whenever anything will go faulty, we will come in and support, and we will do the whole preventive maintenance also of your assets that we have provided, the tank gauging system. And then 6 months ago, the Octopus people went in and we said that there is a lot of data on the petrol station that exists in terms of the transactions, the fuel transaction, in terms of how much fuel is being from nozzle, and what is the level of the fuel tank underground every petrol station, what is one requirement, how you can predict and when the next replenishment has to take place. All that data in the head office was being sent manually through Excel. And we said that, okay, why don't you have a digital Topware through cloud through which you can have all this data on real-time basis. So that's how Avancian business that complements aftermarket support business, which in turn complements the digital business of Topware and dashboarding and cloud. And through these dashboards, those customers can see now all the work orders. So we get about hundreds of work orders. On average, they're about 200 to 250 work orders on weekly basis from different customers, Shell, Total, and others. So we manage all that. So customers can see clearly on real-time basis on a dashboard on native Microsoft Power BI that how many work orders are pending, what is the level of service that they're getting, what are the assets that have gone faulty, what are the recommendations. All that stuff is now totally digitalized. So hence, there is a natural synergy of aftermarket support, which is a support services department, a recurring revenue business. And that's why we demerged it from Avancian and moved it into Octopus Digital. So Octopus Digital is like a coin which has two sides. One side is aftermarket support, which provides the preventive corrective maintenance, digital service, the augmented reality, virtual reality based service. And on the other side, it will take the data from all the hardware and software, take it onto cloud, and create big data for OT data space. The opportunity that we want to tap that has never been done before in our OT data space. So this is how Octopus will work as one aftermarket and digital Topware together. Now, the business model of Octopus Digital is everything different from Avancian's business model. Of course, Avancian is a projects company. They do projects on fixed cost and time and material basis. Octopus Digital, this whole digital Topware and decision support system that we are providing to our customers is on monthly subscription basis. So the clients don't have to invest any capex on any hefty hardware and proprietary software, which they don't need to buy anymore. They used to buy hardware and hefty proprietary softwares and databases to actually store the data and then take it out for business decisions and intelligence that they wanted to take. All that thing has gone now on cloud. So the service that we provide to our customers is the decision support service through Topware applications, through which we enable the whole information package for our customers within 2 weeks and without any upfront investment, without any capex investment. The details are going to come a little bit later, but now let's just want to mention 3 things a little bit. Aftermarket support business, which is now part of Octopus, that provides regular preventive corrective maintenance support, that is already happening, and we want to take it international, and we are digitalizing it also. Topware is this digital dashboarding and decision support system that we are enabling for our customers on a monthly subscription basis. So all the KPIs that they want to see, intelligence that they want to see, followed by prediction and prescription that the machine learning will do for them through cloud, is going to be delivered through Topware. And Topware is enabled through an intellectual property that we have developed, and we call it OmniConnect. So OmniConnect is like a chef in the kitchen. It's like our secret sauce. OmniConnect enables everything at a lightning speed on a few clicks. So we'll explain all 3 of them a little later, but this is the whole concept that this is how aftermarket support, Topware, and OmniConnect will work in tandem. So this one slide is actually our sales slide. This is our value proposition. So just to give you an example, if we go to say, a C-suite executive of a manufacturing facility. So we asked the guy a couple of questions. That, are you getting your cost of production or unit cost of production? Are you getting the real-time cost of electricity? Are you getting the real-time cost of all your utilities? All these questions. So most of the times the answer that we get is because they have multiple databases on their plant, multiple proprietary softwares on their plant, a process historian, then a logistics and supply chain software, then they also have an ERP system, and the biggest database in every industry most of the times is an Excel spreadsheet, because people take the data from different systems, put it in Excel, do all the analysis. So when we ask the C-suite, the top guy, whose appetite for accurate and real-time information is always the highest, so when I ask that guy, they say, no, I get a data or a report in an Excel and sometimes in a software, but that is not real time. So we tell them that we can enable a decision support system for you, a dashboard at a very basic level to start with all the KPIs that you want to see on a real-time basis, all the key performance indicators, and we can enable that for you, taking your data onto cloud, calculating all that for you on real-time basis, and do that within 2 weeks. And you don't have to invest any hardware and software or capex. Because most of the time, the question that we get asked is that, are you going to give us maybe $1 million software license or some proprietary database or computers or something? Well, no, we are not selling any hardware. We are not selling any software. We are not selling any proprietary tool or database. All we are going to do is enable a topware decision support system on your palm top or computer within 2 weeks from the data that we take onto big data cloud. And the biggest value proposition is that things don't stop here. Once you enable that service, then of course, you would want to connect other areas of your plant also. You might want to connect other systems and databases so as to create a bigger and single version of truth with all the data that you have. Because as more and more data is built on cloud and big data, machine learning starts happening and machine learning models starts perfecting themselves more and more. And it starts creating correlations between many seemingly uncorrelated variables. And it starts giving that intelligence in terms of prediction, followed by later on some prescriptive elements also. So all that is a menu of digital services that we provide to our customers and enable them at no capex. So sometimes when we give that sales pitch to our customers, so the first question that they ask is, and what do you need from us? How can we get started? So most of the proofs of concept that we have done, the traction that we've gotten from major multinationals, say British American Tobacco, they all ask, okay, so we want to start. How do we start? So we say, so we might need maybe a lot of things or whatever. If not hardware or software, what do we need? So we say, okay, we only need 2 things from you. We only need a wish list, things that you want to see on real-time basis, your KPIs, and we just need a one-way hairline connection from your hardware and software that we know how to do because we have provided such hardware and software on many industries. So we can take the data one way securely onto Microsoft Azure Cloud. And the rest, our chef OmniConnect will do the magic. So our partnership with Microsoft is actually for 69 countries. And we're using cloud native open source Microsoft technologies, which means that we are not developing a proprietary software. And I'd like to spend 30 to 40 seconds mentioning this because this is one of the biggest value creators and breakthrough that we have done through OmniConnect. So OmniConnect is not a proprietary software that Avancion and Octopus have developed, and we are going to host it on a virtual machine on cloud and sell it to our customers. No, that's not something that we are going to do because that's not true digitalization. This is again the kind of vendor locked-in that this is something which other companies are doing, that they are again trying to sell their proprietary software and hardware by putting them onto virtual machines on cloud. What we are doing is we are not providing any proprietary hardware or software. What we are doing is we are using native Azure cloud services like Data Lake, like Databricks, like Data Factory, data warehousing, all those native Azure cloud factories, which are open source, which means that all the development is done in Scala, in Python and R, in those languages, which are all open source, which means that the time, material, and cost of doing that project has gone into fractions, and client has the power and control that they can take the data, they can do any treatment with the data, they can also employ other companies and other applications to take the data from Data Lake and do any data treatment that they want. So that's the benefit of open source and cloud native. So the future in our industry, that in one word they call it Lambda architecture now. We used to study client server architecture, but now it's a Lambda architecture, which is Data Lake based and open source based. So all the services that we use are open source, Microsoft Azure native. And again, something that I'd like to mention here is that Avancion has not invested. It would have been cheaper, by the way, if we had developed our own cloud in our own basement, but we don't do that because we use only Microsoft standard Azure cloud, which is 5,000% secure and native, totally native. Our executive team brings such a diverse experience. This slide gives a good idea of how the business model has evolved. So I'd just like to spend a minute on this one. As we move from left to right, everything has gone onto cloud. And again, the movement of things on cloud has happened only because of the economic and business reasons. Because the time, material, and cost of doing a data project, things that we have done in the past in Avancion. So everything that we are going to do with all the intellectual property development in Octopus, we have been doing all those data projects on premise in the past in Pakistan. For the last 20 years, we have done countless data projects. But with those data projects, we used to do one project, say, in 6 months to 1 year, with a lot of hardware and software and capital investment. And the sales cycle used to be very long. And then, of course, after doing a data project, after 2 years, you go to the same customer. If they don't have a service agreement, they stop using the software. So that's why aftermarket support people came in. So they enhance the life of the project. Now we are saying in Octopus is that doing a data project will take 2 weeks. And everything is enabled by Azure Cloud because it's all, everything as a service is the name of the game. So we've gotten some very, very good traction from the market. And we have done quite a few proofs of concepts also with major multinationals. But the strategy, the go-to-market strategy is that we will exhaust fully the aftermarket support customer base first. That in Pakistan, we have got 55 maintenance contracts. We are going to just provide the topware and the digital topware on top of all customers. Then, of course, simultaneously, we will go to all Avancion customers, which we are already going, and to digitalize them also, take them onto Data Lake. And then the third strategy is that we are not just limited to Avancion and aftermarket support. Octopus is in the business of data and business intelligence. And our platform, OmniConnect, is agnostic to any hardware and software. So imagine even the opportunity, the size of the total available market that Octopus enjoys and can see the potential is unmatched because we have got all other customer bases available also who are not Avancion customers as well. And to a larger extent, same applies to aftermarket support also. Because aftermarket support also is not only limited to signing agreements for Avancion projects, but they are also signing agreements. They've already started signing agreements for customers who are Avancion's competitor customers for projects. This is a conceptual framework of the intellectual properties that we plan to develop. There are 4 buckets in which the plan is quite well thought of. I'll just give you one example of say, for example, the utilities that you see here. And all these intellectual properties are powered by OmniConnect. So you could see 5 utilities here. So these utilities are in every industry, every process industry. At least 2 to 3 of them are in every industry. Boilers, chillers, compressors, generators, and turbines. These 5 are common utilities across all industries. And the interesting bit is that they are the energy consuming monsters. We call them energy consuming monsters because they eat fuel, electricity, and all that stuff. And they're the big ticket items in terms of cost of production. So we are developing these 5 IPs. And by the way, all these IPs, most part of it, we have already done in the past in terms of projects on premise. So the inherent strategic advantage that we enjoy as Octopus is that our parent company Avancion has the organizational memory, knowledge, expertise, and experience of working through all these customers in all these various process contexts. All now we need to do is through OmniConnect, take everything on cloud. And that's the plan. We have discussed quite a bit on OmniConnect. I think if there will be questions, I'm sure definitely there'll be questions on OmniConnect. So I'll explain probably OmniConnect a bit more at that slide. This is a very technical slide, but OmniConnect is a secret sauce, and it takes the data from the edge, it stores it onto cloud, it computes KPIs, it analyzes through machine learning, and it visualizes through Power BI, and it can control back. So it does all these functional operations relating to data, whether it is warm data, cold data, hot data, all kinds of OT data, it takes onto cloud and does all the magic and gives the value to the customers. We are also developing a whole fuel bureau platform. This we foresee as business people as the single biggest opportunity that has the huge potential of scaling internationally. I've explained that a little bit also what we have done in FinTech Fuel. So this is the same thing which Avancion signed a project on fuel retail stations, and then AMS signed contract, and now our FinTech Fuel. So maybe if you're traveling, if you're driving in Pakistan or even in the Middle East, so maybe a few months down the road, you might be seeing the guy who is putting the fuel, maybe having a FinTech Fuel application topware on his palm top, and all the transactions, all the nozzle, every fuel that is being sold is being recorded on FinTech Fuel, and the data is being managed through cloud. So these are 3 large buckets in which we plan to utilize the IPO proceeds. Of course, the first one is developing the whole bouquet of intellectual properties that you just saw, including OmniConnect and the next versions of OmniConnect. The second would be marketing, and we plan to invest in total digital form of marketing starting from the C-suite and to the senior management, and it'll be the whole guerrilla marketing concept that we're going to invest into. We will not do traditional setup marketing. It'll be a very, very different marketing, smart marketing, AI-based marketing, so that we target those people who have the biggest appetite for digital information and real-time information. And then thirdly, we plan to invest, of course, in the whole HR and sales organization for technical and sales as well. Also developing channel partners and distributors of Octopus who would take the services forward. And that would be one of our go-to also, where we will sell directly also, and also develop channel partners who wants to digitalize their customer. And that's where OmniConnect will come in, because OmniConnect will also be sold as PaaS or SaaS, because other system integrators like Avancion, who also want to have a tool that they can use to digitalize their customers, to provide topware to their customers, but they are struggling to understand cloud. They are worried about hidden costs or complexities, and don't know much about how the business model might work out. This OmniConnect can help them and bring them on board, jump onto the digital bandwagon, and they can start digitalizing their customers. So this way, we have a blue ocean strategy to convert our competition base into our customer base. So that's through OmniConnect that we're going to be launching in more mature markets like the US. So these are the financial projections. We have been very, very conservative in projecting these numbers. The opportunity, and these numbers are based on what we have done in the past, our continuous business, our established business, our base as Avancion in these 6 geographies, and the opportunity that we want to build for aftermarket and Octopus within Pakistan and Middle East in particular. These are the same numbers, but it's just a split between aftermarket and the digital piece. And this is how aftermarket growth will continue to take place and taper afterwards. And this is where the digital piece will exponentially grow and intersect digital moving forward. I think these numbers are also self-explanatory. We can discuss during the Q&A. So that's pretty much from our side. And thank you very much, everyone. I can see a lot of questions in the chat, a lot of hands being raised. Sorry that I couldn't, because of the, and now I would leave it to Faizan and the BMA team to administer, but I would like to open the house for Q&A. And thank you very much, each one of you once again, for your time and for being here today. So we look forward to answering your questions.
Okay, so we'll start the Q&A session with Anas Motiwala. Anas has his hand up, so I'll allow him to talk so he can ask you the question directly.
Gee, sure.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you, Anas.
Perfect. Akbar, I have 2-3 questions. One would be the predictive aspect of it. So that would be something like you would install sensors into different machinery and then try and gauge that this machinery is going to stop here, etc. So just explain a bit more of this predictive thing that you keep talking about is a big opportunity. Is it what I'm thinking it is that based on like you'll apply some sensors on the machinery or how data is flowing into it stuff, would be able to help the floor operator gauge that, you know, right now the machine would overflow, the machine would break down. Is that what predictive intelligence is? That's my first question. The second question is that I still don't understand the difference between where Evencion's software subscription ends and where Octopus comes in. So Evencion, if I'm guessing, provides the software and it provides the hardware. And it is a system integrator as well. So when it does the whole system integration, does it make the dashboard, and do they get the revenue for the dashboard? And does Octopus only get the dashboard when you go to the client and say that I'll put it all up online? Is that like, I can't understand where Evencion's revenue ends and when Octopus's revenue begins? Essentially, those are the 2 questions right now.
Thank you very much, Anas. I'll answer your second question first. It's very interesting, and thank you for both the questions. Evencion's business, Jesse, I've just explained also, Evencion has been doing these data projects, and you call them dashboards and visualizations and everything already for the last 20 years. So Evencion sells the hardware, the software, the data comes out of the software, and they show the dashboard and everything right there on premise. What has happened and what has changed over the period of time is that these proprietary softwares and hardware, this is, for example, is based on one system. And then you have another system installed where there is another set of database and another set of hardware and software. Then on a plant, there is a third set of hardware and software and database. So different companies have been providing different sets of databases and data repositories on the same plant. So what has happened over a period of time, with a lot of automation already being done on a plant floor, there are different silos and pockets of databases and proprietary software that has happened. That's why you see in every, and then you have ERP systems also, the companies who are providing ERP and other stuff. And that's why you see, and then mostly those systems are not done for analysis. Some analysis is done, but if you want to do an analysis over the past 1 year or 2 years, or want to see what's going to happen in the future, someone has to take the data out from those systems, put it in Excel, and the engineer has to spend maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks doing the regression analysis and trying and figure out in a monthly meeting, then present a report that this, and by that time, the opportunity is gone because that has already happened in the past. So what we are doing in Octopus is taking the data from all those proprietary dense hardware and software, taking them onto cloud, creating the big data without providing any software and hardware, and then running those machine learning models on top. And those machine learning models are run by Microsoft itself. It's Azure Machine Learning Studio. We just employ their service through OmniConnect, and then the machine learning happens automatically. So this is the business that we are getting into, where client does not have to invest any capex into any proprietary hardware and software that other companies or we as Avancion used to sell to give them the intelligence out of the data. So that's the difference. So the difference is now how the data is stored, how the data is computed, and how analytics is made based on that. I think I'm missing out on your first question, which was related to, I think, machine learning, that how do we do machine learning?
Yeah, so I'll just reiterate that. So I now have a better understanding of where Avancion comes into the picture. So I have so on that basis only, I have a follow-up question that I think normally what happens is that Microsoft, Azure, or Amazon Web Services, they give all these companies like yours who are developing, recurring revenue lines, a lot of credits when it comes to that. So if you could give us some clarity on when you have those Microsoft credits still, when they run out, how would that impact your margin? And has that assumptions been built into the model going forward?
Oh, Microsoft has been very, very helpful. And throughout in the last 3 years, when we were developed our business plan, when we're doing the R&D with all the knowledge and everything that we have done. Now to your question, yes, Microsoft has a very, very partner encouraging and business encouraging policy when it comes to giving credit. So our credit with Microsoft is not that we are taking the credit from Microsoft and for free and then selling it. So our business model is multi-tenant. So whatever we use, it's both ways. It's back to back. It's pay as you go. So and that's the benefit of digitalization. I'd like to point to your Avancion question also the same thing, because I just realized that is an important point. But in a project business, what we used to do is that even if the client's requirement is 500 points or 1,000 points, the database license that used to come in, say 50,000 points or 10,000. So the client has to buy hefty proprietary database license, even if its requirement is very small. What has happened with Microsoft and Digital and Octopus is, if the client has only 500 data points, we charge for subscription for those 500 data points. So if the client wants to increase the number of data points, more and more areas of your plant be connected, the subscription, of course, will go up. And same, our bill with Microsoft will go up. So it's pay as you go. Have I answered your question, Anas?
You have, perfect. So you're basically telling me that once all these credits expire, you'll basically be able to pass it on to the customer because they'll be used to it and they'll see value in it. So it'll be easy for you to pass it on. I understand.
Sorry to interject.
Can I take that, Asmat?
Yeah, please.
Anas, we as a strategy do not have any lien on the savings that the customer gets. And we want to project it like that. We are a technology company. A lot of technology companies over the last 10 years tried that. So that they would say, give us 25% of the savings. That is a failed model. It works in certain ways. Yes, it gives you a spike of revenue and profits in 1 year, but the customer doesn't like it. So our whole thing is that we will work. That's why we say our mantra is that, look, we will enable you at no fixed cost, and engineering is perpetual. So in this whole hosted application, we say that we are not finishing the project and then just asking for subscription. Every month, if you want any changes, you are entitled for that, and they would give it. And the next month, we will include that as long as the data points remain the same. So our sole calculation, which we have achieved after a lot of effort, and that is part of our IP, that we can now predict exactly the data usage plus minus 5% based on data points. So we say, suppose the production industry has 1,000 data points, unlimited engineering. You will tell us to change, we'll give you a new KPI dashboard. But it will be done in a very organized manner that every month they can ask for changes and we do the changes. Any improvement that they get is there to keep. Does it address the question?
It does, Bhaktiyar Saab. Okay, so now I just have that one question about predictive that I think you were saying that has a lot of potential. I've followed a little bit of it. I'm not going to pretend to say I understand it, but I think the idea here is that once you apply these sensors to all these manufacturing concerns, stuff like that. You'll get proprietary data from that, and from that you'll be able to predict when the machine's going to break down, or this is when the machine can operate, stuff like that. If you can explain.
I'll give you the easiest again. This is something which has been used a lot in terms of. I would permit me to say, I mean, there are not very many people doing it, but people talk about it a lot. So we have really analyzed, evaluated that what would be our path. कि हमने कहाँ से शुरू होना है और कहाँ तक जाना है. Again, a lot of times the easiest prediction is based on data patterns, and that is the lowest and the lowest of machine learning curve. Usme ye hota hai ki whatever a machine has to break down, traditionally it should have some data patterns that some data behaves in a certain way and the machine breakdown. So if you have the whole record of say 6 months, a data engineer can build a model and say, can I identify any data patterns? And then he makes a model for that. So in future, whenever those data patterns exist, it will give an alarm that, look, these are the data patterns, you should worry about a breakdown. And this is just an example of doing that. And for that, you don't need any extra sensors or any extra information. This is one part. And then there are extensive models and all that. So first of all, it is getting the information. You cannot predict and you cannot even plan unless you have correct data. So the first point is taking the customer to a bandwagon, to a process where they have unadulterated single version of truth, as I say, of the data. And then once you have about a year's data, 9 months data, then you start engaging with them on the machine learning. And there are very specific ways that that can be done. So this is a process. And that is why when you engage with the customer and then when you have the data and you are collaborative, these second, third, fourth steps would automatically come in.
Fair enough. Just one last question, because I know a lot of questions in there and I don't want to take too much time.
Yes, please.
Can you please talk about, because I think you have 50 clients right now. Can you talk about like how do you see how big the market in Pakistan is? Aapki aage pipeline mein kitne logon se baat chal rahi hai वगैरह. And I'm just a bit skeptical that 2 weeks mein aap log ye sab pura integrate karke de denge, because I would imagine
ये जो 2 weeks वाली बात है ना, ये बड़ी इंटरेस्टिंग बात है, क्योंकि मैं when I behave with my technical team, because आजकल जो हमारे youngsters हैं ना, वो बड़े जबरदस्त और वो इतनी उनके आइडियाज होते हैं, तो I give them non-technical. So 3 years back, I had given that one line specification. ये सब बातें ठीक हैं. Can you do it in 2 weeks? If you can't, then this will not fly. Then it becomes a. So I am not saying that I challenge. हम simple कहते हैं, वो स्मार्ट ने एक slide दिखाई थी, which is if you have an OPC thread line connection, if you have some time, a smart will able to demonstrate you at offline basis. कभी आप हमें बताएं, he will install a machine virtually, he will pull data and show you how quickly our tool does it. It will be our pleasure to show it and take, as a joke, I would say, we'll be willing to take up that challenge and demonstrate that to you. Whosoever is in this panelist, we can do, half an hour session, और हम demonstrate करके दिखा सकते हैं how data comes in and it starts getting populated within hours.
अच्छा, sorry, तो quickly एक से आगे की जरा सा बता दें कि आप लोग किन कंपनियों से बात हो रही है, कितनी
सबसे कर रहे हैं. देखिए सबसे पहले Anas, so it is clear, जो हमें अपनी assets पे trust करते हैं, they will trust. So we have talked to almost everyone. And they were waiting for Omni Connect and all that. कुछ अब जिस तरह आपको example देना, British American Tobacco, we have done millions and millions dollar of projects. Now all new projects are being done on Omni Connect already. So ये तो हमारी future development की cost वगैरह के लिए IPO करें, ये वो तो it's already in the process. Every customer we are talking to.
Perfect. Now, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
One thing that I'd like to mention also before taking any further questions, Anas, that we launched Omni Connect on May 27th, and we had a half an hour live demo globally. So we have the recording. We can share that with you. It's very, very exciting. And just to also mention, I think something, because I thought.
Question पे चलते हैं.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. The next question is from Adil Singh from JSI.
This is Adil from JSL. Thank you, Mr. Asmar, for explaining this technical thing very clearly. Some of my questions are from the model, and some are on the presentation. My first question is about the BTMI revenue. According to my understanding, this you guys outsource all the automation upgrades to AVN. So what's the rationale behind recognizing BTMI revenue in Octopus? And my second question is about कि आपकी जो current market थी वो पाकिस्तान थी, and उसके बाद you have you are reaching global customers as well. So globally, I think there are other companies as well who are doing the same business. तो उसके बारे में आप please बता दें कि competitors क्या हैं, उनका scale क्या है, वो किन sources पे काम कर रहे हैं, और उनकी KPIs वगैरह क्या हैं. My third question is about जो आप the platforms you are creating right now called Omni Connect and Topper. ये तो अभी create हो रही हैं. इससे पहले AMS क्योंकि पिछले 13 साल से चल रहा है from 2008. तो 13 साल में आप कौन सा डिजिटल डैशबोर्ड यूज कर रहे थे और किस तरह उनके पास डेटा प्रेजेंट हो रहा था. एंड माय फोर्थ क्वेश्चन इज अबाउट केपीआईज. जो आपने बोला था कि ओमनी कनेक्ट के अंदर और टॉपर के अंदर कुछ केपीआईज चूज होंगी. इज इट बेस्ड ऑन एआई या फिर आपको कोई भी कस्टमर खुद बताता है कि हमें ये वाली केपीआई चाहिए? बिकॉज द एसेंस ऑफ मशीन लर्निंग इज बेस्ड ऑन के कुछ चीजें होती हैं जो कि वी कांट डायरेक्टली थिंक, उनका कोरिलेशन बनता है विद द प्रोडक्शन एंड विद द एफिशिएंसी. तो ये KPIs के मशीन लर्निंग को डिसाइड करेंगे या फिर ये पहले से प्री डिसाइडेड होंगे? These were my four questions.
Thank you very much, Adil. आप मुझे please remind करा दीजिएगा if I forget it. So the fourth question is, we ask the customer for the KPI list, but that is just a starting point. So that's a conversation starter. So that's the sales pitch. So we say, what are the KPIs that you want to see, and we can enable those KPIs in 2 weeks. Now, to take those KPIs and to calculate those KPIs, we have to take a lot of data points from the plant flow. Yes, those could be 300, 400, 500, whatever. And when the data points are going on to cloud, then of course, within those data points, the correlations or patterns can be established. That's why I said, as more and more areas and more KPIs the client will ask us to calculate, as the base of the data will increase in big data, and more meaningful correlations, hence machine learning models can be developed, and with the passage of time, they will self-perfect themselves. So that's the answer to your, I guess, last question. Questions that are up if you could.
My first question was about the BTMI revenue. इसका मुझे rational बता दें कि ये किस तरह recognize होता है, इसकी costs किस तरह determine होती हैं, और ये पूरा AVN outsource करते हैं या किसी और को भी जाता है?
ये तो देखिए BTMI जो है वो build train project है जो after market support implement कर. हमारी पूरी team we implement it ourselves. तो ये project.
Asmar, the question is slightly different. वो जो पूछ रहे हैं वो ये कह रहे हैं कि उसके अंदर हमने business देखें, एक जो one time implementation of project होती है वो तो आप Evancian से कराते हैं ना, फिर maintain आप करते हैं. तो वो I think the question is related to that. So I understand that I'm very happy. That means you read the details quite a bit, and this is a very देखें because ये जो Octopus है, they want to focus on services and recurring revenue. So it's like using any system integrator to do the hardware integration and all that. So in an ideal world, Octopus के पास अगर suppose एक बहुत बड़ी अभी जिस तरह एक customer है, one of the largest tea manufacturer, and they've done a 10-year BTMI contract with us. Actually ahead of time, अभी हमने marketing शुरू ही की थी Omni Connect की, so they said SAP integration and all that. So we are connecting 200 of their machines. So उन्होंने they said, we will do a BTMI. We love this concept, but then you also supply everything part of the BTMI, the sensors and all that. So as we want to keep Octopus Digital as a service company and data company, so we said, okay, we'll get it done by a third party. So third party, we know Evancian. Otherwise, if there were like several companies in Pakistan like Evancian, in an ideal world, we could give that hardware contract to anyone. Abhi hum zara ease of work ke liye. So if we are working internationally, we could do it with any company in the world and say, yeah, isko idhar tak ready kar do. This is your subcontract. So this is the concept, sir. Have I addressed the question?
सर एक चीज मुझे क्लियर नहीं हो रही. लेट्स से एक टेक्सटाइल कंपनी आपके पास आती है and they want to set up AMS support वगैरह and they want like certain KPIs to be monitored. अब जब वो पहले बार आपके पास आते हैं, since your model is based on subscription, आप ऑटोमेशन चार्जेस तो शुरू में लेंगे नहीं, आई गेस. तो अगर आप कोई हार्डवेयर सेटअप करते हैं तो ये रेवेन्यू किस तरह आप लोग
देखिए ना, हार्डवेयर हमारे पास एक मॉडल है जो IRR कैलकुलेट करता है. वी सेल ऑन IRR, only on IRR. So a typical Octopus project जिसके अंदर हमारे पास डेटा की पाइपलाइन मिल जाती है, which are the earliest, जो हमारे lowest hanging fruit है वो डेटा पाइपलाइन हमें मिल जाती है. We connect, we have included the cost of जो हमारा what we call is the appliance that we send and it collects data. अब textile and all that जहाँ मशीनों से करनी है, they might have to be, and that is the second level of our business where they would want to include some hardware. तो हार्डवेयर की सप्लाई जो है वो हम एवेंशियन को सब कॉन्टेनेबल. आप जो KPIs का कह रहे हैं, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड, our biggest value proposition is engagement, infinite amount of and perpetual engagement. अगर एक आप बना के दे देते हैं, if you give one dashboard, so every month they can have it changed, and that is part of the whole cycle. That okay, I need some more. So a lot of times that will evoke things like they want a new dashboard, they want 50 more data points. That means the cost goes up. And that is the objective of this, that perpetual engineering is our biggest selling point right now, that we will run the first dashboard and every month you can have it changed.
सही है. And my last question was about AMS से जैसे अभी आप दो जो IPs बना रहे हैं, intellectual properties based on Omniware and Topware, इससे पहले AMS आप किस तरह प्रोवाइड कर रहे थे?
AMS अभी तो sorry, I didn't get that question.
आपका जो बेसिक IPO का जो आपकी जो सबसे ज्यादा यूसेज होगी वो होगी creation of IPs for Topware
and AMS, setting up AMS in the Middle East, because we have about 1,000 projects in the Middle East, and AMS, we have done soft launch. We have 3 AMS projects there, contracts there. So the cost will also go on the sales and marketing and setting up a whole in 4 different offices. So that is again very plain vanilla. We have done it in Pakistan. उस पूरे के पूरे business को जिस तरह project business को Middle East में successful किया, we will make AMS successful in Middle East.
And can you compare Octopus with like international competitors as well, because you have gone global, obviously?
देखें, Octopus अभी तो हम ये समझते हैं कि there are very few like us. As we get to scale, maybe हो, लेकिन हमने जितनी भी analysis की हैं, there is no company like us doing the planning or even doing what we are doing right now.
I think Savish wrote some companies like
मैंने उसका जवाब भी दे दिया था. देखें, मैं 1000 कंपनियां बता सकता हूँ. क्या किसी का एक बिजनेस मॉडल ये है? So you can come back and say कि इनका business model ये है. अभी किसी ने a lot of these companies could be our customers. You have to realize we are producing a non-proprietary database from in15 to that, and nobody is doing that right now. As far as all these companies, बहुत अच्छी companies हैं, हम उनको use भी करते हैं, किसी के tools use करते हैं. But right now, our Omni Connect, what we are offering, we have talked to a lot of people. I mean, anybody can come up with a list of 100 companies. We know a lot of those companies, but are they doing the same work? Do they have a business plan exactly like us? Do they have a customer base of service contracts? No. Abhi kisi ne Anglo Digital, lovely comment. Anglo is doing maybe very well, but the fact is they don't have a historian. They cannot store it. So they would buy a historian for $50,000 to do what they're doing. So they could be our customers.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hello. This is Mohammad Hayat. So my question pertains to the audit financials that you guys shared. Firstly, जो आप लोग के CY 20 की revenue देखने जो in the financial model that you guys shared was 549 million. But audited accounts में there is a transfer of business for the last quarter and it shows 277 million. Can you please explain the accounting behind this? Why is there such a big difference? And similarly, a follow-up question on that is that fourth quarter के अंदर आपको 277 million revenue आया था. But in the first quarter CY 21, your revenue drops down to 111 million. I think one of your pitch for Octopus Digital was it will have sustainable, consistent revenues. but we can see a decline on quarter-on-quarter basis. Any particular reason for the
नहीं
decline?
ये I'm sorry ये आपने इसको पिछले years के साथ compare किया कि कितना difference होता है quarterly?
नहीं, because
मैं please bear me out. सिर्फ sustain देखें एक project इसमें दो किस्म के AMS में revenues होते हैं. आप एक सर्विस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट करते हैं और उसमें फिर मिनी प्रोजेक्ट्स आते रहते हैं, तो वो जो रेवेन्यू होता है वो अनइवनली शेयर्ड होता है, बट एक बेस लाइन रेवेन्यू ईच क्वार्टर में आता है. अगर आप पिछले क्वार्टर्स के किसी भी उससे देखेंगे तो देयर इज ग्रोथ. उसके साथ इवेंचुअली थर्ड और फोर्थ क्वार्टर्स में हमेशा ज्यादा रेवेन्यू होता है.
I'm talking about the revenue for Octopus only.
सर मेरी बात, कैन आई फिनिश प्लीज? देखिए मैं ऑक्टोपस की, अगर आप हमारी सेगमेंटल अकाउंटिंग देखें पिछले 4 साल में, तो आपको ये नजर आएगा कि व्हाट यू विल सी इज द डिस्पैरिटी पर क्वार्टर इन AMS इज मच लोअर देन एवेंसियन. सो आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि वो हर दफा फोर्थ क्वार्टर से जो नेक्स्ट वन क्वार्टर है वो अगर अगले साल का फर्स्ट क्वार्टर वुड बी ग्रेटर देन द लास्ट ईयर्स फोर्थ क्वार्टर, दैट वी नेवर कमिटेड. It will be the disparity and the unevenness would be much less than Evansian. So what you still have to compare is first quarter of one year with the first quarter of the previous year. But the variability per quarter is at least 80% less than Evansian.
Can you share the second quarter top line, or I think June?
वो अभी हो जाएगी ना. We will in 2 days we will post the accounts and then you will see it.
Just one last question. I think you have mentioned it in the chat box as well that the Evention hold the 80% shareholding. But does Evention have any plans after the 12-month lockup period to dilute or sell its holding?
Sir, the best thing would be if we need to raise more capital, that means we would have been extremely successful. Because that should be, if we are doing an international business plan, we may need $20 million to do that. Who knows? So yes, we would have plans to do that.
Thank you.
I think we're not left with any questions. There are no more hands raised. We'll just give 2 or 3 more minutes. If anyone has questions, they can write them down on the chat. Otherwise, we can just conclude the meeting. So there's question from Shahruz regarding data lake or cloud storage area you want to tap. How could the client rely on Octopus to ensure that data security?
Asman, your favorite subject, data security, and why? How will it be ensured in Azure?
Thank you, Shahruz, for the opportunity. And because I was just reading all the chats and the answers. So for security, as I said, we use all standard Microsoft Azure cloud security. And when for the first time I read their security doctrine and regime that Microsoft follows, and by the way, both Microsoft and Amazon AWS both follow that. And the central tenet of that security regime is that they follow nuclear level security, which means that there is something called DevOps. That's the tool that they use to follow the data security. And that is that every data, whether it is 200 data points or 2 million data points, they are broken down into different branches and they are stored at different places around the globe in different data centers on Microsoft. So there are about 136 ISO security and safety standards that Microsoft follows. Yeah, had we been using our own cloud, our own servers in our own basement, that would not have been secure, even if we had ring-fenced it with, I don't know, tens of firewalls or whatever. So we use standard Microsoft Azure cloud, which is 5,000% secure. And why I say that? Because Shahruz, there are 2 things which are very important. One is, I'll just give an example, because Pentagon has given a $10 billion JEDI contract, which is JEDI, that you must Google. Everyone must Google. And they have given this $10 billion contract to Microsoft Azure Cloud. The cloud of Microsoft is called Azure. Azure Cloud, that all the data of Pentagon will go to cloud. No data will be present on hardware and software on premise in Pentagon office. Pentagon office mein कोई data नहीं रहेगा. It will all be on Microsoft Azure. Point number 1. 2, this was like a year ago, and 90 days ago, President Biden, and it sounds a bit maverick, and I want to give a disclaimer that I'm appreciating President Biden's executive order that he has issued, that within 60 days, all the data of the White House has to go on Microsoft Azure Cloud. So just to protect the data from the rogue attacks. So the world is moving towards where anything and everything which is present on premise, is whether you ring fence it, it's not secure. Only the public clouds by Microsoft and Amazon. And that's why we have partnered with Microsoft, because they're very strong in the enterprise and they're the very good partners. And they're investing billions and billions of dollars in cybersecurity and stuff. So, and that's why it's completely secure, it's role-based, it's trifactor authentication, and it's multi-tenant, and anything and everything that goes on cloud is 5,000% secure. Have I answered your question, Shahruz?
I think we don't have any more questions left. All the pertinent questions have been answered. If any of our fund managers or our investors are left with any questions, they can just email us directly or drop us a text. We will try to answer them as quickly as possible. So I think with that, we can just conclude the meeting. Bakhtiar Sahab and Asmar, if you have any final comments, we would love to hear it from you.
I'll leave it to Bakhtiar Sahab to have a closing comment, please.
No, I think we are very excited. These questions can keep flowing. You can send us an email like Faizan said. But I don't think at my age I've been as excited as I am with Octopus. So we look forward to a great future along with our investors. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bakhtiar Sahab. Thank you, Asmar. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you.